is on the hunt, and spring break travel, well, prices, they're on the jump. And if that is hard for you to swallow, we're going to help you pour the perfect Irish coffee just in time for St. Patrick's Day. Welcome to Off Duty. I'm Wendy Bounds. Now, $75,000 would be a lot for a mortgage, but how about if that was your monthly rent? Kelsey Hubbard, she took a tour at one such Manhattan townhouse that's so high-end, you can even control it with your iPad.
In the rarefied world of high-end luxury real estate, don't underestimate the desire to have the best or be the first. For the potential renter of the recently renovated townhouse at number 6 West 9th Street, they'd get both. For close to $1 million a year, or just $75,000 a month, you could be the first to live in this 9,000 square foot, 5-story home of eco-luxury and ultra-modern minimalist design.
Tell us a little bit about the original home that was here, the townhouse that was here, and sort of the process of going into this renovation.
Well, you know, the original house, like a lot of the houses on this block, was from the mid-1800s going into the later 1800s. And it was, you know, it had a few different incarnations over the years. It has been owned by the current family since the 1940s. The fact that in the 1940s it was very different than what we're looking at now, and it has a new life. We have this beautiful, what I like to call the meditation garden, but it could be a great place to have breakfast.
This is actually from part of the construction process. You found these?
But they're actually Manhattan schist. This is actually pieces of Manhattan, and they weigh about 900 pounds a piece. So that's a ton of rock, which is crazy, but that's a ton of rock. And my simple idea of putting it out there actually involved some re-engineering. We had to put a lot of steel to accommodate the weight.
Really, so it doesn't fall through?
Exactly.
One thing that I love is that you can stand downstairs and you can look all the way up through every floor and you can see the sky. You can see, I mean, we can see the blue sky today, and it's just, to me, that's just such an incredible detail that I haven't seen in any other property. Most townhouses are really dark in the center. You know, you come in, you have windows on the back, you have windows in the front, but usually there's this well of darkness, and it's completely the opposite here. Behind here, we have a beautiful outdoor kitchen. This is where you're going to spend probably every morning and afternoon and evening during the summer.
It was a real labor of love by everyone involved. My contractor, my architect, Aaron Zelneritis from Span, Ricky Vila from BTR. We built the best building we could, which means to me it's the tightest, it's the quietest, it's the most consistent temperature. The heating cooling systems, it filtrates the air, and it's filled with light. And it's meant to be, and there's no wasted space. There's no wasted space. It's as tight as you can do it. So to me, it's the ultimate machine. In a way, it's a beautiful machine.
So I understand this was designed to be what they call a smart house, in the sense that it takes advantage of really cutting edge, energy efficient technology. Explain what that means.
Well, the best way to explain it is there's a system called the Savant system, which will be installed throughout the house. And you can access your lighting, your security, your heat, your air conditioning through your iPhone or through an iPad. It's an Apple-based system that is the most, it's not just a smart system, it's a brilliant system. Because you can go onto your iPhone from anywhere in the world. You can look at your security camera, you can see what's going on at your front door, you could buzz someone in to drop off a package.
Is this trend, this eco-luxury, sort of using a lot of sustainable materials, but in a very high-end way?
Yes, that's something that's definitely happening a lot. It's happening a lot in Manhattan, it's happening a lot throughout real estate, but it's really, it has definitely stepped up. As far as what type of materials are being used. People do want to be energy efficient, they want to be eco-friendly, but they still want luxury and they still want to live a certain way. And that's always the trick. The systems, however, have improved, and the types of materials that people are working with have reached such a high level.
More light. Wow.
More light. We just keep getting light.
Wow.
Everybody that has a bedroom gets their own walk-in closet. That is a real luxury in New York. So they're all the same size, and again, they were being outfitted so someone could use them however they want. Every house needs to have a dumbwaiter because sometimes you just don't want to walk downstairs. And this has one for the lower level, this floor, and the floor above us. This is a private terrace it's a more public space down off of the parlor. This would probably be where whoever's on the top floor would want to come and be by themselves and read a book, and this is their own private getaway.
All right, I'm exhausted from our climb, so let's take the elevator down.
Okay, sounds good to me.
For the Wall Street Journal, I'm Kelsey Hubbard.
Now, if straight whiskey is not your thing on St. Patrick's Day, then we have Elva Ramirez right here, right now to show you how to make the perfect Irish coffee. Personally, Saturday cannot come fast enough. Now, last week I taught you how to properly shuck an oyster, and this week, keeping on the mollusk theme, we've got Kitty Greenwald, and she's going to show you how to make mussels with celery leaves. Hey, now, at least that's cooked.
Hi, my name is Kitty Greenwald, and this is Slow Food Fast. Today we're making steamed mussels with celery leaves. This recipe comes from Paul Kahan, and it's based on the mussels he serves at his restaurant Publican in Chicago. And this is a purist recipe that says a lot for keeping it simple. You can use a skillet, but what you want is something with a lid. I like this because it conducts heat well. We're gonna begin by melting 2 tablespoons of butter, high heat. To that, we're gonna add a tablespoon of sliced celery, tablespoon garlic, 1 tablespoon sliced shallot, fresh bay leaf, 2 sprigs thyme. You can just put in the thyme in, and red pepper flakes. So the butter's starting to froth a bit, and you want to sort of stand guard and make sure that nothing burns, because you are doing it over high heat. It smells very rich. You're getting the thyme and the bay leaf and the yummy buttery shallots. You want to let this sort of go until the onion starts to look translucent. All right, that smells good. I'm gonna add the mussels. 2 pounds small black mussels. You wanna stir to coat. You want the seasoning sort of to dress all the mussels. You're gonna add your wine or beer, and now you're just gonna let them steam open. So the celery leaves you take from the center of a celery bunch. I'm gonna give the celery leaves a rough chop. This is 2 tablespoons. And you want to be mindful that everybody should be seated when you make mussels, because these are good hot and fresh and juicy. So now these have steamed open. Give it a stir and then let the meat firm up a bit, so just about 30 seconds. And you want to take it off the heat, and then you're going to stir in your celery leaves. And your final 2 tablespoons of butter, and give it a stir. And the sauce gets really rich and buttery. and you serve it right away. And squirt some lemon juice over top and serve this with a nice piece of crusty bread. And make sure to get all those nice buttery juices. These are super delicious, really pure and really cozy. So you can get the heat, you get a little of earthiness from the celery. Perfect for eating lots of. So I hope you do.
Spring break season is here, but as airline ticket prices are rising, just getting to your destination, well, that can be a real downer, which is why we have Kelly Grant here to tell us how you can keep fees from taking too much of a bite out of your partying money. Airfares are taking off, but there's no need to pay top dollar for a ticket. The Federal Aviation Administration expects prices to climb this year as airlines cut routes and pack in passengers for fuller flights. Flyers can still find plenty of fare sales, though. Try these strategies to save. 1. Set fare alerts. Sign up for sale alerts from the airlines, booking sites like Expedia and Travelocity, and deal sites like airfarewatchdog.com. 2. Time booking. If you're bound for a popular place like Las Vegas or the Bahamas, increase your chances of a bargain ticket by buying at the right time. Years of data from fare tracking site farecompare.com shows that the cheapest time to buy is 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. That's when the maximum number of sale seats is available. 3. Buy a package. Consider booking your hotel room and flight together. It's usually cheaper than booking each separately. Expedia currently has packages to Cancun that include a week-long hotel stay. You'll pay as little as $50 more than the $600 price for a nonstop flight alone. Experts say sometimes the package is even cheaper than buying just the flight. Being flexible with dates, times, and airports can help too. Use search sites like Google Flights or kayak.com that will show you the days of the month with the cheapest flights. One of the biggest sports stories of the year is where will Peyton Manning land after getting cut from the Indianapolis Colts? He's been on a road tour right now. We're going to talk to Chris Herring. He's a Wall Street Journal sports reporter about where Peyton's been. He's been on the road, ostensibly looking around for a new home. Do we know who he's looking at?
Yeah, well, kind of the odds right now are on Denver and Arizona, the two places he's visited. The Broncos obviously have Tim Tebow, and so that's gotten a lot of attention, and helicopters flying around to try to meet, figure out where he is and what he wants to do. And then the Arizona Cardinals are also an option too.
What do each of those teams have that would make Peyton want to go there? And then on the flip side, what do they need that Peyton could give them?
Well, Denver, they have a Hall of Fame quarterback who now is with operations and the president of the team, and John Elway. So a lot of people feel like that might be a selling point. They were a good team last year and everyone knew about Tebow, but wondered maybe who was the weak point of the team, or maybe if they'd had a better quarterback, if they could have gone further in the playoffs. So that's probably the selling point with that team. With Arizona, a couple of years ago, they were in the Super Bowl, and they had a quarterback who was very close to, same sort of situation, had won a Super Bowl somewhere else like Peyton did. His name was Kurt Warner, and they made the Super Bowl with him, so I think they're kind of one person away from doing it again. If
you had a Denver Broncos with Tebow and with Peyton Manning, who would be the star?
Oh boy, well that's John Elway's problem to figure out that happens, but Peyton Manning, I'm sure if he's healthy, would probably be the guy there.
If he's healthy. Now this is the big question. He was out all of I think the 2011 season, couple of surgeries for neck injuries. No one's really seen him throw or play on the road, is that right?
That's right. You figure that these teams have to know something we don't know, as opposed, we haven't seen him really throw much either. There was one video that surfaced that people said was him. You've got to figure that these teams have been in touch with his doctors, have seen all sorts of reports. Maybe they have seen him throw and we, just wasn't on video or something like that, but if they're making a major investment in him financially, you have to figure that they know something that we don't.
Two last quick questions. He quickly said no to several teams like Seattle, Kansas City, Washington, sort of just putting them out of their misery right there and then. Is that sort of the honorable thing to do versus dragging it out and trying to drive up the price?
I think so. I think that's kind of the reputation he has as a very serious-minded guy that knows what he wants and is very, very sure of himself. He wants to win a Super Bowl, so going to a place like Seattle where they haven't sniffed a championship in really any sport in a long time, going to Kansas City that wasn't that competitive this past year and was struggling, even some of the teams that were more competitive than that just didn't seem like a fit for him, and why lead them on? He knows what he wants.
Yeah, so. The Super Bowl. He's chasing after his brother on that one. Sure. And Chris, was there ever a realistic possibility that Peyton would retire after the Colts cut him?
I'm sure it's probably crossed his mind. He clearly wants to play. He clearly feels like he's healthy enough to play. But I feel like if he'd known that, he probably would have just gone ahead and done it if he wanted to retire. And I also think the Colts probably wouldn't have made the decision to cut him if they knew or if he was interested in retiring, because, you know, they probably took a bit of a PR hit with that too. The owner obviously was really nervous about having to make such a big decision, and, you know, easily the most famous athlete in the history of that city. If they didn't have to let go of him and cut him that way, do so publicly, I'm sure they would have found a way to keep him if he was going to retire.
Yeah, good point. All right, Chris Herring chasing Peyton Manning's progress. We'll check back with you. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Here you are. Well, that is it for today's WSJ Off Duty. I hope you'll click above to subscribe. Hang out with me on Facebook and Twitter. We have a whole week of major March Madness coverage. You don't want to miss it. I'm Wendy Bounds. I'll see you tomorrow. Zoom away.